What's going on YouTube? This is ParkerLight88 coming at you with another video, and in this video we're actually going to be having a discussion. We're going to be talking about Power Rangers and what we want to see, well what I want to see rather, come out of Season 3. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so a couple of things to note starting off with. So you may be watching this video and thinking to yourself, hey, wait a minute, this isn't Power Rangers, I want my money back. And I would say to you, you are a very observant individual. This is definitely not Power Rangers content, but I can actually explain. So I actually made this video a while ago, at least the recording for it, and I wanted to actually have Power Rangers matches going in the background so you guys didn't just have to listen to my boring voice the entire time. But unfortunately, my internet isn't exactly the greatest, and every time I've tried to jump into matches, my matches like disconnect. So I wasn't actually able to record any matches, but I as you can see, I have some Soul Calibur matches going in the background. I thought that this would be a good opportunity to, show off some of my custom characters, and Soul Calibur is a game I actually really enjoy playing. It's probably my favorite fighting game series, in fighting video games. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to put up some Soul Calibur matches. So, let me know what you guys think. Obviously, I'm not a pro or anything like that. These were just some matches with me and my brother and his friend. And like I said, just a good excuse to show off some custom characters and just have some good old-fashioned fun. Maybe mix it up on the channel a little bit. Let me know what you guys think. And also let me know what other kind of fighting video games you like. Maybe I can actually put up some matches from those in the future as well. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I want to talk about is the fact that a patch actually just dropped the other day. that kind of goes in tandem with the fact that I actually had this recorded a while ago. Before that, I was like, well, we haven't received an update for Power Rangers in a while. And the last time they kind of took this long with an update, we actually got some pretty sizable things. We got new features, and we got new characters, we got a UI system overhaul, and a whole bunch of things like that. But as you guys know, we did just get that patch. It was kind of a minor patch, to say the least. Like, there were a lot of bug fixes, there was a change for Cats Infinite, and there were some changes to Quantum Red, but not much else, outside of that. I still think that, somewhere down the line, we're kind of expecting, when Season 3, when are we going to get, like, the next big update with, like, characters and stuff like that. And that's what we're actually going to talk about today. So we actually are keeping that in mind. So what I want to talk about today are a couple of things. Number 1, universal features. Number 2, balance changes. And number 3, new characters. Everyone wants to know, what possible characters they can be what they could be adding to the game. So we'll talk about all those things. So the first thing I want to talk about is what I think Power Rangers has actually done well up to this point. I actually think that the game is actually holding up pretty well. When I did my initial thoughts on Power Rangers and, where it is, things to expect out of Season 3, there wasn't really a whole lot that I wanted, because I actually thought the game was in a, a pretty good place, all things considered, barring, Quantum Red being, a little too strong, and, Cat having her Infinite. I actually thought that, every character was viable, and that there'd been so many changes, over the life cycle, that I kind of just wanted the game just to, simmer and just kind of let be. But I think at this point, we're just kind of like expecting the next thing. But that being said, I think all the UI changes were great, like all the gameplay stuff that they've added, like, the soft knockdowns and, the extra little features they've kind of added to make the game a little bit more lively have all been great strides for the game. But of course, we want more things, right? So let's talk about these things. There are probably, let's start with our universal changes, of course. And there are 3 things that I actually like to see them add to Power Rangers. The first thing the universal change I want them to add is just more stages. I don't know if I feel like the stages are bland or if there truly just aren't enough stages to fight on, but I feel like I just don't have enough variety in the places that I'm fighting, that it kind of just gets a little stale. I want to fight more places. Like, I don't really know a whole lot about Power Ranger lore as far as, like, the different locations they can pick from, but there are plenty. Like, I'm sure, like, let's fight in space, let's fight at other, like, Ranger bases. I'm like an old school Power Ranger fan. I don't really know a whole lot about the newer Power Rangers, so I think that that's another good opportunity to, like, educate people on, like, just the history and the legacy of Power Rangers by putting in these other, like, Ranger locations and stuff like that. So definitely more stages. That's one thing I want. The second thing that I think they should add, universal change, online practice mode is a kind of become a standard feature in a lot of fighting games, right? Like, let's look at Skullgirls, for instance. Even Skullgirls had like an online training mode. I'm not saying that Power Rangers needs an online training mode, but there is one thing that I definitely think they should add, and that is I think that they should add a proper recording system for the dummy. I want to tell you guys a story. There was one time where I was using my normal team, my OG team, and Udana's kind of a pain to fight against. I'm sure you guys have, had your, frustrations fighting against Udana, but it's definitely a problem for my team. So I thought to myself, you know what, let me jump into training mode and see if I can find a way to get past like air special, since that's her like most oppressing and abusable move that it's really tough to deal with, at least it is for me. So I went into training mode and I'm like, wait a minute, I actually can't practice this because in terms of repeating moves, this isn't a move that it gives me an option to repeat. So what I had to do was I had to set the computer to jump, then I have to pause it when it jumps, go down to repeat attacks, turn on special, and then it would do air special. And I would have to repeat that over and over and over again if I wanted to test different strategies against, doing air special, which, I got it done, but it's really tedious. And I think that the game would have benefited from just like a proper being able to record your opponent do, whatever you want, so you can test different strategies. Another instance was like testing push blocking. I couldn't test push blocking properly to figure out punishes because, I just wasn't able to set the computer up to like continuously do strings so I could push block and then figure out what moves are the best options out of push block, because I think push blocking is actually pretty important, utilizing that as a defensive mechanic when you're trying to like step up your game for Power Rangers. So once again, I think that a proper recording thing for dummy and practice mode is something the game definitely needs and would definitely help out a lot of players as far as getting up to the next level. The last universal change I would like to see them add to Power Rangers is actually a proper best of 3 in ranked modes, and leaving like continuous rematches or just ones and dones or whatever to lobbies and to, casual. I like to get the run back. I like to, try and take what I've learned if I've lost or if I won, and try and adjust my game strategy to see, if I can, come out on top in another game. I think, it's fun. A lot of other games have like 2 out of 3, and I think that Power Rangers should follow suit. I don't think it would be that hard, right? You can just put like a rematch option in there or something like that, and you would just, move on to your next game. But anyway, guys, that pretty much does it for the universal changes I'd like to see. Once again, definitely think the game could benefit from more maps, best of 3 in ranked, and a proper recording system for the dummy in training mode. If they could go one step further and do online training, that'd be nice, but at least let me record things so I can test things. I don't think that'd be too hard, right? I don't know. Alright guys, so let's move into the next thing. We're going to be talking about character balance changes, and there are a couple of characters specifically who I actually want to talk about. We're going to be talking about Udana, we're going to be talking about Quantum Red, and we're going to be talking about Cat. Now the first character I want to talk about is Udana. So I feel like Udana is kind of like the scourge of the online world. I truthfully don't know, maybe offline or competitive play she really isn't super difficult, but at the very least in online play, I feel like she's just kind of one of those scourge characters, because you can kind of just go, you can kind of scrub out with her, and you can really just spam air special over and over and over again. And I'm not saying that you can't deal with it, but some characters can deal with it better, or can't deal with it as well as some other characters, and overall I feel like the move is just way too abusable. The fact that it covers so much space at an aggressive angle, the fact that it kind of puts her eye in the air if you do it backwards, the fact that it has no landing lag, so you can just hop up and keep on doing it over and over and over again until you get close enough to where you can just attack your opponent with her long range normals. I have no problem with her long range normals, but one thing I've come to realize in the game is that jumping is actually a very risky thing to do when you are not covering yourself, because you can't block launchers if someone tries to anti-air you, and because of how high damaging of a game Power Rangers is, one launcher into full combo and it's pretty much, game over, for one of your characters, at that point. But Udana can cover herself because of those 3 things on her way in. And I definitely feel that that move needs to be addressed in some way, shape, or form. And this is what I would propose. It'd be one of 2 things or a combination of them. Number 1, I'd propose instead of her shooting 3 of them, that they downgrade that to 2. Really, it's the one in the back that's closest to her that kind of makes that move as oppressive as it is, because it just covers so much range. Just because it covers so much range, the ones that shoot out in front, you know, if you would be able to get under those, it wouldn't make the move as abusable, but I still think the move would serve its purpose. So if they could say 2 ice balls as opposed to 3 ice balls, I think that would be something that they could consider. The other thing that I feel like they could consider is actually her having landing lag, so that you couldn't just hop back up and just do it over and over and over again ad nauseum. Similar to Zed when he does his jumping hard. When Zed does his jumping hard, when he lands on the ground, you'll actually see that he actually lands on the ground proper before returning to a neutral state, and then he's able to act again. I think Udana could stand from a mild nerfing by, you know, doing that, like either decreasing her orbs or giving her some landing lag so that she can't just abuse the move, and, you know, so on and so forth. Everything else with Udana I think is fine. I would say that I kind of have a problem with her OTG, but for her sweep or whatever, but I really don't. So there's that. The second character I want to talk about is Cat. Now, yes, the last patch just happened, which I'm assuming was to tackle Cat's Infinite, which, you know, that was the big elephant in the room, right? Which I'm sure that was what the patch was about predominantly, because once again, there were a lot of bug fixes in that patch, not really a whole lot in the way of, you know, rebalancing characters and stuff like that. But, you know, I'm hoping that worked out. My idea was kind of to subject stagger states to still having it susceptible to hit stun decay. I think that stagger states should be susceptible to hit stun decay, because I think that stagger states can get around that in the combo system in some way, shape, or form. But hey, you know, they decrease the frame, the hit stun on it by like a couple of frames or whatever, so you can't just do that ad nauseum. So I'm hoping that, you know, that keeps her from being like super busted. I honestly don't think that Cat is really that busted of a character. Like, you know, if you just look at her toolset and everything, she has left-right mix-ups that she needs assists to help her out with, so her left-right mix-up game isn't like busted. I think there are other characters that do left-right mix-ups better than she does. She's got some decent normals in the way of her, you know, like crouching medium. You know, you can't really get a combo off her dive kick. So I really think, just like as a tool set, like, I think that she's really not that broken. It was just the one infinite. So in that same vein, I think that she does need like some buffs, and there are 2 buffs specifically that I want to give her. Number 1, I would want her to be able to combo her crouching light into her launcher, her back medium, the way that she used to. There are plenty of other characters that can combo their normals into their launchers. I don't see why Cat shouldn't be able to do the same thing, especially if, you know, we're taking away her infinite. So I think that they should give that back to her. The second thing that I would do is for her assist. I would make her assist a true block string, like her Cat Scratch Claws, so you can actually put some real pressure on your opponent and make her a viable assist character. On my team, I tried putting Magnet Bender up first just because I wanted to practice with him more, but I realized in doing some of my setups that you can actually poke Cat out of her Cat Scratch Claws as an assist, because it's not a true block string. She does the first one, and people would just jab her out of it, and, you know, she could be susceptible to like a combo follow-up of some sort if I'm not, you know, coming in for a combo of my own or something like that. So it makes her kind of, you know, a liability as an assist character. So I really think that, you know, making that a true block string would definitely help out Cat as an assist character. You know, and that's pretty much all I would say for Cat. Now, let's talk about Quantum Red. Now, the patch, I'm actually very happy. They did a really nice thing for him where they made his neutral gunshot and the Quantum Leap and the Quantum Sword, they made that easier cancelable, you know, from the neutral gunshot. When I was doing my initial tutorial video for Quantum Red, that was actually very difficult, where I would just skip it all together and just say, do crouching hard into Quantum Leap, or do crouching hard into neutral special or Quantum Sword. But now they made it a lot more lenient for you to go crouching hard, neutral special into Quantum Leap or Quantum Sword, and then on top of that, if you're charging your neutral special, you can just go straight away into Quantum Leap or Quantum Sword before you actually release the full blast of neutral special. So that was a really welcome change, and I think will help out his zoning quite a bit. But let's all talk about Quantum Sword. That move has been nerfed, I think, twice, I believe, but that move is still busted. And here are a couple things I think that they actually need to do in order to fix that move, if they have any intentions of fixing it in the future. You know, it's kind of up in the air whether they have. I thought that this would have been like a patch where they addressed it, but I'm sorry, 2 meters for the amount of damage that Quantum Red can get, especially when you can just, you know, cancel it into EX at the very last smidgen of a timer. it's a little, I think it's a little too good. That might be just me, but I think that it's a little too good. And there are two ways that they need to handle that. Either number one, you have to pay the EX, like the extra bar to do EX just like every other character does, no matter how much you have left. You either have to do that, or the other thing that they should do is, I think that the timer for Quantum Sword is like 14 seconds or 10 seconds or something like that. I'm not sure which. But in Street Fighter V, there are a number of characters where whenever you activate their V-trigger, you have the total amount of time. So let's say Quantum Red, he has 10 seconds total when you activate Quantum Sword, right? Now in Street Fighter V, you have a X amount of time to use your V-trigger, and then some characters like Bison, who's my favorite character in Street Fighter V, every time he does a special move, his V gauge, his active V gauge goes down by a percentage every single time he uses a special move. And I think that Quantum Sword could also be, not nerfed into the ground, but more normalized to not make it super, super busted, considering the ridiculous amount of damage that you can get from it in the same way. Where you have, let's say you have 10 total seconds of time to use Quantum Sword from the minute you activate it, right? Every time you use a move from Quantum Sword, it eats away a percentage of what the total time would be. So 10% of that, let's say. So you lose a second every time you use a move in Quantum Sword for your total time. Then you lose 1 second every single time. So you can use 10 moves before your Quantum Sword is all the way up. I think that would make the move a lot more fair. And hey, if you do it that way, then yeah, sure, you don't have to pay the extra bar. But I think between lessening the time, make it work like those V triggers, paying EX, somehow messing around with that would normalize that move and not make Quantum Sword nearly as busted, as it is. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think Quantum Sword is fair? I think it could stand to use a little bit of fine-tuning. And think of it this way: if they do the V trigger route on it, then they could give it more time, because every time you use a move, it decreases the timer by a certain percentage of your total time. So they could increase it that way and just normalize it that way, right? So those are pretty much the characters that I wanted to cover. I think that pretty much everybody else is fine. I'm sure there are other characters who could use some nerfs or some buffs or something like that, but honestly, in my experience, I think that all the other characters are fine. They all have things that make them viable and in their roles and everything. I don't think there's like anyone who's like super, super low tier, or like, oh, actually they're definitely super, like definitely the high tiers for sure. But I don't think anybody is just like not viable. I think it's in a good place. All right. Now, let's move on to what everybody wants to know, and that is, what characters do we want out of Season 3? Ooh! And here's my idea. Normally, they go 2 heroes and 1 villain, right? That's how the trend has been for like the last couple of DLC packs or something like that. How about for this one, we have 2 villains and then we have like 1 ranger. And here are my character choices. Number 1, Ivan Ooze. Everybody wants Ivan Ooze. Everybody needs the Ooze. I don't think it's actually possible for them to put him in the game, but there's some way they could get Ivan Ooze in the game. Like, Ivan Ooze has to be one of the characters, dude. Number 2, I was doing some research, or I was watching this one YouTube video, right, talking about Power Rangers Dino Thunder. I think a lot of people like Dino Thunder. I think it's a popular one. We don't have any Dino Thunder representatives in the game, so going along with the villain thing, everybody loves evil rangers, right? Like, the idea of evil rangers, or just the evil counterparts to whatever, is awesome. So, the White Ranger, I don't remember what his name is, but he was evil for a second before he became a good guy in Dino Thunder, and his design is super cool looking. Put that guy in there. So we got Ivan Ooze, we got the White Ranger from Dino Thunder. Like, his design is awesome. He's an evil ranger. Everybody loves evil rangers. Put him in there. Now, the third character I would want them to put in the game is some character that kind of fulfills an archetype within fighting games. Like, you got your zoners, your grapplers, your rust down characters, your brawler characters, like all those kind of things. I think that they should put in a character that fulfills an archetype like that. Now, there are a couple that I can think of. Now, there's no trap archetype. There is no Rekka archetype. Yes, Kat has Rekkas, but she doesn't have she can't do like overhead Rekkas or low Rekkas or things like that. So she has a Rekka move, but she's not really a Rekka character. There's not that, but what I want to see is a ninja character. I want to see a character that has like ninja style moves. There's no ninja style character in the game yet, and I think that they could do some cool stuff with that, because everybody loves ninjas. I mean, for instance, in Legacy Wars, they already have that thing for Adam, right, in his ninja costume. It's a very distinct look. There's no ninja archetype, and, you know, more Mighty Morphin representatives are always awesome for, like, the old school fans. So seeing Adam in his distinct ninja gear doing, like, ninja-style moves, especially because they already have the groundwork for it, they could pull, like, you know, references or whatever from Legacy Wars, and just do that. Make that a character. And so those would be my choices. If they didn't go with Ivan Ooze, I think another option is the cyborg villain guy from Time Force. I think, I don't know what his name is, but maybe you guys know who I'm talking about. I think he has like a metal plate on his head or, you know, whatever, and it's like some robot enhancements, you know, as cyborgs do. I think that'd be an interesting option, but hey, like, you know, you guys who know more about Power Rangers, let me know what other, like, potential villains you think would be a good fit for Power Rangers. And guys, that will do it for this video. There actually is one more thing I do want to talk about, sorry, for system changes, and that is I think that they should just do one OTG across the board. So like you do your OTG and you get that giant ground bounce from the OTG. I think that should be the only OTG they give you, barring supers, to kind of mitigate how crazy some of the combos would be. I personally am fine with how the combos are. If anything else, I think one of Power Rangers' appeals when I started, you know, looking into the game was just how insanely high damaging the characters were compared to some other fighting games that are out right now, like Dragon Ball FighterZ, where it's like unless you have like a crap ton of meter and like X Factor, you can't kill a character. Or like in Skullgirls, for instance. Skullgirls is all about your resets just because individual combos in that game really don't do a whole lot of damage when you tack a super on the end of it. You might take away like a third of your character's life, maybe like a little bit more than that. So I think going back to a game where like everyone's like high damage is actually kind of an appeal. But just to kind of still allow people to do crazy combos but not them be just like super silly, I think if you just get the one ground bounce or the one OTG that gives you a ground bounce like property, barring supers, I think that's the only like ground bound OTG extension that you should get, and then supers with OTG, of course, and you know, that'd be fine. But anyway, that, guys, are my suggestions. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think, and I'll be back to you later with future videos. This is Parker Lad, and I will see you guys next time. Also, if the matches haven't wrapped up by this point, then, you know, enjoy the rest of the matches. Alright, that's it for now. See you guys.